On a chilly fall evening, Jack and Amy decided to spend the weekend in a historic Airbnb apartment, shrouded in a rich tapestry of the past. At first, the apartment seemed like a charming refuge from the chaos of the city, but as soon as they stepped inside, an antique bookshelf adorned with dusty tomes caught their attention. The mysterious light of the full moon seeped through the windows, and Jack humorously suggested that they had rented not just a place to live, but a shard of bygone days. They spent the first night enjoying the enchanting atmosphere and warmth. However, when the clock struck midnight, strange events occurred. From the depths of the apartment came a faint whisper, which Amy mistook for echoes of the building's old age, while Jack decided it was something deeper. As they drifted into sleep, the lights in the room began to flicker, creating shifting shadows. Amy awoke to her bed shaking, as if someone had walked by. Jack claimed to have noticed a ghost in the corner, but when Amy turned around, nothing met her gaze. Night after night, the apparitions became more and more bizarre. Footsteps, creaking doors, sounds that resembled the sounds of ancient musical instruments. Amy felt an intangible hand on her shoulder, and Jack claimed to see ghosts from the past in dim corners. Attempts to contact the landlord proved futile. One evening, when they decided to leave, the door slammed forcefully shut, leaving them trapped. Darkness thickened, and an eerie rustling could be heard in the room, as if the shadows were trying to send some kind of message. Jack and Amy looked for a way out, but the walls seemed to morph and envelop them. After what seemed like an eternity, the room suddenly lit up brightly, moonbeams filtering through invisible gaps. A self-playing antique piano materialized in front of them, and the antique clock on the wall began to chime midnight. Amy and Jack were stunned, but before they could do anything about it, the room dissolved into total darkness. The next moment, they were in narrow corridors where shadows played with distant silhouettes. The echo of footsteps, ancient laughter, and voices reached them. Pressed against each other, Jack and Amy walked forward, trying to find a way out. Their journey ended in an ancient library, decorated with dusty tomes and the soft light of old candles. The figure of a woman in Victorian clothing appeared before them, her eyes glittering with darkness as she spoke the chilling words, "You cannot leave. Your time here is not over." The woman, tall and pale, with flowing dark hair, radiated the aura of a ghost of a bygone era. Her voice, though soft, sounded with undeniable authority. "You have entered my realm," she continued, "and you must correct the mistake you have made." Jack and Amy tried to explain in bewilderment that they had only rented the apartment for the weekend, but were answered by the woman's sinister, cold laugh. "This apartment is a piece of my soul, and you are now connected to it. In order to return to your world, you must undergo trials." Shadows danced around them, conjuring up fantastic images of the past. Jack and Amy were caught in a vortex of time, taking part in scenes from different eras. From the bustling streets of the Industrial Revolution to the dusty trails of the Wild West, where cowboys and Indians lived, the woman watched them from the shadows, amused as they moved through the unfamiliar landscape. Each scene grew stranger and more menacing than the last. Then an ancient castle that held secrets, then a Victorian labyrinth whose walls whispered dark riddles. The woman led them through these worlds like a puppeteer in a macabre theater. Eventually, they returned to the dim apartment where their odyssey had begun. The woman watched as shadows swirled around them, forming misty figures. "Take your pick," she said. "Stay here and become part of this atmosphere of the past, or pass through the time portal, leaving the imprint of the past in your souls." Realizing that there was no turning back, Jack and Amy chose the portal, hoping that the connection to the past would not haunt them in this world. Moments before disappearing into the glow of the portal, they heard the woman's cold laugh and her advice, "The past will always remain with you as part of your soul." Stepping out of the misty time portal, Jack and Amy found themselves in a world of their own, altered by something ineffable. The past was indeed woven into their narrative. However, daily existence was becoming increasingly burdensome. Memories of unusual scenes began to appear in dreams. Shadows and ghosts of the past appeared from dark corners and haunted them. Coming to terms with the emotional burden the old apartment carried, Jack and Amy decided not to give in to fear, but to immerse themselves in their nightmares. They delved into the history of the apartment and discovered that its past was intertwined with mystical and unexplained events. The woman they encountered was the sacrifice of an unfathomable tragedy, and her soul remained there until Jack and Amy traversed the time portal. Armed with the woman's story, they attempted to help her find peace. Their research and soul-joining rituals helped make sense of the circumstances. In time, the ghosts disappeared. Instead of remaining in the shadow of fear, Jack and Amy turned their ordeal into a story. They began writing books about their adventures and sharing their experiences with those who were willing to listen. So they became guardians of their past and the past of this unusual apartment, storytellers rather than fugitives from the darkness. Their story became instructive and a subject of study for inquisitive minds grasping the mysteries of time and space.